Pete got one. What's up everyone, welcome to Max Extreme River Fishing and Outdoors. Today I'm going to show you my 4 favorite rigs for catching hatchery supported trout in ponds. Now this is here in North Carolina, but this can work in any pond across the country where trout live. Here in North Carolina you've got 3 different regions: the mountains, the Piedmont, which is the central and the eastern region. There's trout in the mountains but not in the Piedmont, not in the coastal plain. Well, North Carolina has all these ponds during the winter that they stock trout in, so people that don't normally have a chance to go catch trout can catch them. Now these trout will live from December, January, March, but then when it starts getting warm, the fish will die. So when you catch these fish, and there's a limit of 7 on all these ponds, you need to keep them because they're going to die anyway when it gets warm, or somebody else is going to catch them. But anyway, I'm going to show you my 4 favorite rigs for catching them. So let's get busy and I'll show you the rigs. Okay everyone, my favorite rig is what I call a double dropper rig. I don't know how well you can see this, but I've got a 3/8 sinker on the bottom. Then about a foot up, you've got a long shank, probably number 6 hook. I'll put a link to these in the description. About another 10 to 12 inches up, you've got another hook. And what you can do is put night crawlers on these, or earthworms. Sometimes I'll even put a night crawler or earthworm on the bottom one and power bait on the top one to see how that does. But normally I'm using night crawlers or earthworms. This is one of my favorite rigs right here to catch trout in ponds. It's awesome. You cast this out, let the 3/8 sinker go to the bottom. You hold your rod tip tight, don't leave any slack in it. And when you've got it tight like this right here and they hit it, you're gonna feel it, set the hook and reel them in. Tell you, that's my favorite way to catch them right there. It's awesome. That's probably put more meat in the cord than anything I've got, is this rig right here. Normally I use 6-pound to 8-pound line on this rig right here. So let's go to the next one. Alright guys, this is one of my favorite rigs as well. You've got a small split shot about a foot above a number 6 salmon egg hook. I'll put a link to that in the description. I normally use about 2-pound or 4-pound line on this. What you want to do is cast it out, let it sit on the bottom, hold a tight line, and when you see the line moving, set the hook. You want to use floating power bait on that salmon egg hook, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay guys, now on this salmon egg hook and split shot rig, you want to use floating power bait because the power bait will float up above it. The split shot will be here on the bottom. The power bait will be floating above it. I mean, if there's a few weeds or debris on the bottom, that's what you want. You want it floating above it. You want that power bait in kind of like a teardrop design, and it will actually float this salmon egg hook up. The fish will swim along and hit it. Hold a little bit of a tight line, and when you see that line move, set the hook and you got them. You can also use salmon eggs on this and worms. That's one awesome rig for catching them right there. My favorite color on this, I like pink, but my favorite color is yellow, or a mixture of yellow and green. Power bait makes them kind of a swirl looking in a can or the jar. Anyway, that's awesome. Pink works good as well. And then let me show you the third way I like. Okay guys, one of the other ways I like, this is the third one I'm showing you, is a bobber. I've got a small octopus hook with a Berkeley power worm on it, power trout worm on it. They make several colors. Pink and white's good, but I'm telling you, pink's the best color on this. I'll put a link to that octopus hook in the description. You want a small split shot, not right on it, but maybe 6 to 8 inches above it. And then you want a bobber about 2 foot above it. And then you can vary the depth, but what you want to do is cast this out reel it in, pause it, reel it in and pause it, and this thing's gonna come and float behind it. It's gonna pull up and then it's gonna float back down, and that thing right there is a killer on trout. Now all these rigs I'm showing you will catch the heck out of brim in the summertime, but I'm gonna tell you, this is awesome. Just pull and pause it. Bobber, split shot, octopus hook, power worm, pull and pause, pull and pause. Man, the trout love it. I can't tell you how much they love it. I've caught a bunch of these hatchery trout in these ponds on this, and normally I'm using 4-pound line. You can do 6, but I wouldn't do any more than 6 on this rig right here. You can also, on this pull and pause rig right here, you can obviously use a night crawler or a piece of worm or a cricket. That works well, but I'm gonna tell you the power worm works just as well as the live bait. Now the 4th rig I'm gonna show you today is really an awesome one too. It's a bobber with a trout magnet on a 1/64 ounce head, trout magnet head, a pink trout magnet. Awesome way. You do it the same way as the last one I showed you. Pull and pause, pull and pause. I'm gonna let this car go by. But normally I put it, this is probably only 1.5 feet. But normally I put it like 2 feet maybe below this, but you just cast it out, let it sit, pull and pause, and when you pull it, the trout magnet comes up and it slowly sinks. Pull it again, it comes up, then it slowly sinks, following that bobber. Awesome way. You can obviously put a hook with just worms on it. The pull and pause technique will work with live bait too, but these trout magnets are awesome. They make them in a bunch of different colors, but I can tell you pink's probably the best color in my opinion. So anyway, that's it on the 4 rigs. You can always, like I said, switch out the lures, these jigs, or for live bait, the power worm or the trout magnet for live bait. But I tell you, these work just as well for live bait. Just pull and pause, pull and pause. The first 2 I showed you, you just hold them on the bottom, see the line move or feel the hit, set the hook. Okay everyone, I hope you enjoyed these rigs. I'm telling you, they're awesome. I use them here all the time in North Carolina where they put these hatchery trout in these ponds. They'll work anywhere they put trout in the ponds, in rivers as well. But awesome, give them a check. Now these ponds I'm talking about in North Carolina, they stock with trout. They won't live in there all year, so you need to catch them. There's a limit of 7 a day. I'll put a link in the description to where these ponds are at. You can look at the North Carolina Wildlife website and find it, but I'll put a link as well in the description. I'll also put a link to the octopus hooks, the trout magnets. The hooks I'm using on the first rig I showed you, it has the bell singer 3/8 ounce bell sinker on the bottom. I'm using these Gamakatsu colored hooks. Those are pretty good hooks. I like those. All that'll be in the description. But guys, do me a favor. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button right here. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.